Hello, and welcome to today's office hours, our monthly discussion for Eloqua professionals. I am Richard Holder. I'm the head of marketing at Forethought Marketing, and I will be your host today. Today's presentation will be recorded, and a link will be available tomorrow. We encourage you to ask questions when using the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. That helps us manage those questions and make sure that we get them either during today's session or we have recorded them for the future. You're welcome to ask questions for today's topics, or even if you have topics for future sessions, we'll make sure that we add those to the list. Joining me today are Colleen Lenehan and Adrian Pacheco, both from Forethought Marketing. Colleen will speak about leveraging titles to improve segmentation, and Adrian and I will demonstrate our solution for improving list uploads. So with that brief introduction, let me turn the time over to Colleen.
Thank you, Richard. All right, good afternoon, everyone, or morning, depending on where you're coming from today. I'll be presenting on using job titles in Eloqua to populate job function and job level values that make sense and are useful for your business needs. So many of us have a problem where we have job title fairly well populated, if not completely populated, using user-provided data or from a data enrichment source. But however, often function and level are less well populated, or they're not the values that we need to be able to segment according to our needs. Also, it can be challenging when looking at a job title or a professional section to know which job function value to assign if you're only allowed to choose one. So to address these challenges, we came up with a system to use Eloqua's automation capabilities to populate job function and job level based on keyword matching in the job title. So how you do this for your own needs is you need to come up with your own paradigm for job function and job level values that, again, make sense for your company and your needs. And then use Eloqua's powerful automation capabilities to then set up a program that will automatically populate the values so that you can use them in your segmentation for communications. So I'm going to walk through an example that we completed for one of our clients. And first, I will go over the overall process, and then I will dive a little deeper into some of the steps that relate mostly to Eloqua. So the first step is you need to work with your internal stakeholders within your company to determine what values are going to make sense for you to use for job function and job level. Next, you want to look at a sample set of contacts in your database and look at what kind of keywords are going to get you to those job function and job level values that you want to use. From there, you would build the new infrastructure in Eloqua, including new fields if needed, filters based on the keywords, update rules to populate the job function and job level fields, and a contact program to bring it all together. A huge part of ensuring the success of a program like this to populate function and level from job title is testing and iteration and lots of tweaking and making sure that it's working the way you want it to. And then lastly is working with your CRM team to make sure that these level and function values are being passed over to your CRM correctly so that you can use them on both sides of the organization. In today's presentation, I'm going to focus mostly on steps 2 and 3, as those ones most heavily involve Eloqua. So once you've determined the values you want to use for job function and for job level, you need to select keywords that are common enough in your contact database of job titles that they will be effective, but narrow enough that they will specifically target the roles you want and not bring in any unwanted contacts. So here's the example of what we put together in collaboration with the client for their keyword matching for job function. And for job level, it was a little more straightforward. They had the job levels that they most wanted to segment on for communications. And we, again, came up with keywords in collaboration with the client. A couple of notes here on setting up strong keyword matching for your filters. For any abbreviations like CEO or IT, you want to use spaces in your keyword matching or an exact match to just the 3-letter or 2-letter combination. But using spaces in a matching formula is going to let you bring in values that have CEO as part of the start, middle, or end of a title, so that you're not getting matching within the middle of a word, for example. You also want to look at your specific database and account for any variations in spelling or in abbreviations. You might not think of all of these up front, but as you test your program, you will encounter some additional variations that you maybe didn't consider initially. Using the singular version of a word is a great way to pull in both plural and singular variations of that word, especially when it's just a simple S or ES at the end of the word. And Eloqua has a great feature where you can use a wildcard pattern matching to draw in multiple values without having to create them each by hand in your filter. So putting in a question mark here means that you're allowing for exactly one character, and it can be any character in between the C and the O. So all of these 8 values to the right would be matched according to this, and any others that match this C blank O pattern. Lastly, when you're testing and looking at your filters, you want to make sure that you're pulling in the values that you do want, but excluding ones that don't match logically what you're trying to do. So for job level, president was pulled in to the highest level, but we didn't want to bring in vice president, even though that has a matching word, because vice president was a different job level in our system. Next, let's talk about the Eloqua assets that you will need to build this out in Eloqua. First of all is fields for job function and job level, if you don't have them already. And especially if you plan to use a multi-select field for either of these, you'll probably need to set up a new field in Eloqua and specify that you want it to be multi-select. And I'll talk more in a bit about how you can automate the update rules to take multi-select into account. So you'll set up your fields. You'll need those shared filters built out with all of the keyword matching that I just talked about. You'll need the update rules to populate the correct values to those 2 fields based on the filtering. And then you'll need the program canvas to bring it all together and set up the logic. So here's where I'm going to talk a little bit more about multi-select, because I know that is a capability that I think is very useful, and especially when it comes to job function, because you want to be able to select multiple functions that could apply in different scenarios. Eloqua uses the delimiter of a double colon for multi-select values, either on a form submission or just in the data structure. So we're going to leverage this in the update rule itself. So by using append and then choosing the delimiter of the double colon, you are putting the values into a format that Eloqua can read as being multi-select. So it will bring in all of the values that you select into the one field for, in this case, job function, and be able to read that as a multi-select. So here's what it looks like on the contact record if you were to apply the update rule shown above. Let's look now at the canvas itself. This is, I understand this may look a bit confusing, so I'm going to kind of bucket the 2 areas that I have set up here so you can see where each part is happening, and then I'll dive a little deeper into each. So on the left here are all of my filters and update rules to populate job function. And then on the right, we've got the ones to populate job level. So how the program works is contacts will come in on a listener, and I will talk about that in a couple slides from now. If there is a value for title, they get pulled into this program. If not, they exit out. And an important step here is as they enter the program, it clears out their previous values for job function and job level. So anytime that a contact is run through this program, the values are blanked out and they're applied just the logic that's currently in the program. So if you were to make any changes in the future, anyone new coming in, or if you wanted to rerun your database, those fields would first be cleared out, and then they'd be repopulated with the logic on the program canvas. So for job function, where we have the multi-select field, we want it to add every single value that matches with their job title. So how the logic on this part of the canvas works is a contact enters in, they come to the first filter. If there's a match, they go over and they have that value appended to job function. And again, we're using the double colon delimiter to add additional ones. So once that's added, they go back to the tree and they're checked against the next filter, and so on down the line. So every time there's a match, that value is appended to their job function field, and then they get checked for the next one. And there's one step at the end where if a contact reaches the bottom of all of these filters and the job function field is still blank, because remember we blanked it out before entering into this set of filters, then we will attach the value of other to job function. Job level works a little bit differently because we're only choosing one value for this. So we started with the highest job level at the top and we work our way down. And as soon as a match is found, the contact is sent to the update rule to set the value for job level, and then they move along. They don't continue down the tree of filters. And again, if they get to the bottom and that field is still blank, the value of other will be populated using this update rule. So a quick note about listeners. We do have two on this program. One is the standard contact creation. So anytime a new contact is created in Eloqua, they will automatically get pulled into this program. And then another one that's a little more complicated is setting up a tracked field for job title. So how you do this in Eloqua is in the settings, fields and views, tracked fields area. You can track up to a maximum of 10 fields per instance. So, you want to use this sparingly and only the, highest impact use cases. But since this is an important program, we went ahead and added title to this tracked field. And then on the right here, going back to the program canvas and the listener step, you hit the plus sign and then you select contact field change. And so now what this is going to listen for is anytime a contact has their job title field changed, they will automatically come back into this program to change the values for job level and job function. So once that program is set up, I can't emphasize enough the importance of testing your program and making sure that the keywords are matching the way you want them to. Make sure there aren't any keywords that you've maybe missed, and just iterating on this process again and again until it's pretty much working exactly the way you want to. Like I said, you want to look at the actual values in your database, run some contacts through this program. I set up a custom view so you can see job title, job function, and job level fields all right next to each other, right on the canvas. So you can easily just take a look and see how the job titles are mapping to job level and job function, and see if there's any that are falling through the cracks or that maybe got pulled into the wrong filter because you weren't narrow enough in your keyword matching. And then you also need to work with your CRM team to sync this back. For this particular example, we did need to use specific codes to get it to populate with the right values in the CRM. So that was an additional step to add to the update rules to make sure that The code is being populated so that the CRM can read the values, but then making sure that the text values are populated in Eloqua so that humans can use it in segmentation. And then a final recommendation here is to make the job level and job functions as read-only fields in the CRM so that you're not having issues as far as which value is most up to date, which is the most accurate. If sales folks in the CRM want to make an update to this, they can update the job title, and then that would trigger the listener in the Eloqua program when it gets synced back over to Eloqua. So that is my overview of how to use your job title field to populate a system of job function and job level that really can be useful for your segmentation and your business needs.
All right. Thank you, Colleen. Let's see if we have any questions. And it does appear that I have one. The question here says, what can you do if the program can't find a match? Is there a way to detect those records?
I think the question is about like when it gets to the end and there's no match with any of the keyword filters.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so that's when you set up or at least in this instance, we set up a other as kind of a catch-all. So they identified all of the job functions that were of use to them. I mean, obviously you could have a lot. You could keep going. You could have a ton of different job function values, but the client identified the set that were of use to them. And then anything that didn't fit into those, we just tagged as other because they didn't foresee using any of those values in their segmentation. So that's kind of that. I think that was addressing the question. If someone came down to the end of that side of the program and the field was still blank, that's when you would just append other into that field. So it gets processed and there is a value in there, but it's not one of the values that the client had chosen as being useful for their segmentation.
Great. Thank you. Well, that's the only question we have for that section. So let's move on to the next topic. So I'll turn on my video so you can see my smiling face here. All right. So despite all of the integration options that are available to connect Eloqua with different data sources, list uploads are still a staple of most organizations. I can attest to that. And while it seems like it would be a simple task, there are many factors that complicates the list upload process. In a perfect world, list uploads would be quick and error-free. However, what takes place behind the scenes is often like this picture. It's a complex, multi-step, manual process to meticulously review and prepare lists, catch and correct potential errors, and validate and normalize the data to meet your company standards. In addition, the way Eloqua handles duplicate records may not work for your company. Eloqua error reports often require extensive detective work to solve. They just don't have enough information to dive directly to the problem. And the mapping process cannot be saved and shared with other team members. So everyone has to follow every step every time. And the list of challenges goes on and on. So today, we will demonstrate the Eloqua Upload Wizard Cloud app. It can help simplify the upload process, reduce and prevent future errors, and automatically perform data validation and normalization. And these are just a few of the examples of how the Upload Wizard can help your team scale without sacrificing quality or centralized control. So let's see it in action. I'll turn it over to Adrian for a demo.
All right. Thank you, Richard, for that introduction. Let me share my screen real quick. So we should all now be seeing the Upload Wizard. So the Upload Wizard is a very simple but very powerful tool that we can leverage. So I'm gonna go over the process to upload the list. It's gonna be a very simple list that I have prepared, but I think from there we can see. I'll show the list later, but we'll see all the things or some of the things that the upload wizard can do. So first thing, the that we get into is the upload wizard. Once the file is uploaded, it automatically creates a shared list. So by default, it will just put a name and the date and time it was uploaded on, and you can select to override an existing list, or you can select a folder for this. In this case, I'm going to use the prepared folder that I have, and then I'm going to just select a file from my library to upload. As mentioned, I have this one ready. It's quite a simple file. So next I upload the file. System is now reading it, and once it reads it, it goes to the second screen. And here you can see that some of, or all in this case, my fields are pre-mapped. This is because the system will go and check if some of the fields in my list or the col or the titles on the columns match a field in Eloqua. And so in this scenario, everything there's a match for each one of them, and so we get the match automatically for all of the fields. But you can obviously go in and say, well, I this column I actually wanted to match to or yeah match or write to job level. I'm gonna keep it as it is, but you can see that all the Eloqua fields, all the Eloqua contact fields are here, so you can select any of those. One thing that I'm not gonna showcase here, but it is a very powerful tool that we have for the upload wizard for some of our customers, is that we have what we call templates here. Uh, Basically, what templates do is that they only allow users to map certain selected fields. And so if you don't want some auto calculated fields to be updated by a list or something like that, you can just select a bunch of fields that you're happy and safe uploading to, but and that way blocking access to any other field that you don't want anyone to upload to. And so here I would, as mentioned, this is a very simple file, just have 5 columns, but now I'm going to save the mapping. It will take me to the next screen. This screen is for modules that we're not going to get too much into modules, but there are some pre-baked modules that we have to do a couple of things like upload custom objects and some other things here and there. But mostly what our clients want is very, very specific to their needs. And so for this is particular scenario, I do have some validations in place before I even upload the file. So I'm gonna just go to the next screen. Here I would complete the upload by default, and you can't change this. I will get an email on the for the Eloqua user attached email address. So basically I can add a couple more, but I will always get it. You cannot change it, and yeah, just to make sure that there's always someone getting the email. And so before I complete the upload, what I wanted to talk about a little bit is about a couple of things that Richard mentioned. It's kind of one and two, or two in one. So for validation and normalization, what we use in this scenario is custom objects. So I'm going to go to this other tab here, or not that one, this other tab here, and you can see that I have what is called a country lookup. So basically, this is a very simple example again, but basically what this says is for country, when the country field is mapped, check that one of these values is there. So if it's United States of America, USA, United States, or US, then it's a valid value and this record can be uploaded. This is the validation part of it, but if I go into any of this, I will see that there's another value attached to it, which is in this case called value, and the value for it is US. All of the fields have that because that is the normalization part of this. So if any contact is uploaded with United States of America or USA or United States or obviously US, all the value that is going to be uploaded into Eloqua will be US. I did something similar for job role. that you can see here. I have a job role lookup, but it's pretty much the same thing. I have it just set up for manager. So different ways of spelling manager, or in different languages as well. If you have a multi-country uploads, it's also very useful just to make sure that all your data is nice and normalized and clean, and there aren't lists just breaking everything and forcing you or someone to do a lot of work cleaning data off. And so I'm going to go back to complete the upload. This will take me back to the first screen if I just want to upload another list. So I'm going to show the list. Well, right now, I'm going to show the list. I'm going to open it right now, right here. And so, as mentioned, it's a very simple list, just 5 records. You can see the email address starts with office hours. And if I search here right now, um, there are no records like that yet because the upload wizard is processing everything. But in a second, we'll see all the files. What you will see here is that I have a country and job role, and you can see the different values that I have for United States. Some of them are valid, some of them are not, similar to job role. For job role, I'm guessing you can figure out which one is not valid. Um, but uh, but yeah, we'll see in the end when the list is uploaded. So obviously this will take a little bit of time to do all the processing, all the checks, and and yeah, basically has to access every custom object, load the whole custom object, and check. But eventually, I will get an email with a notification saying what the results are. So in this scenario, I'm going to open it right now. And as you can see, there were 5 records in the file. There were 3 records uploaded into Eloqua. Those 3 were created. If you had an email address that already exists, obviously you will get contacts updated. In there, you can see the mapping here. And the nicest part of this is that the contacts rejected, there are 2. But not only are there 2, we get a record of what those 2 are. And so basically, if I get in here, my other file should open in a second. And so what you will see here is that office hours 04 has an invalid country value. So if I go back here, I can see that they have US of A, which is weird, but that's what they have. So I could fix it and then re-upload that list or re-upload just the records that are wrong. And then for the office hours 05, I can see that country has an invalid value, but also job role has an invalid value. You can see country is the US, which is also weird, and job role is superhero. So yeah, obviously that wasn't gonna fly. Uh, Um, so the nice thing about this is that you can now go and fix all the issues that will come up in one record, not just one at a time, and that will allow you to then make any fixes that you might need. And also, if for example, all the time I upload a list, I guess I get country the US, and you're going crazy after thinking I have to do this update every single time. I don't want to do that. Well, the good thing is that you can go to the custom object and say, well, the US always comes up. It's definitely US, so I'm gonna create a new record where the value is the US and it's normalized to US. And then from now on, every time an upload goes in, it will look at that value, say, oh, well, this is valid now, and I'm going to normalize it to US, and your data will be clean and you will have to do less work, which is obviously what we're looking for. And so if I come back here now, I do another search just to make sure. My 3 contacts that were valid are here. You can see the email addresses here, and then everything looks nice and pretty. It says manager for the 3 records that were uploaded. In this case, I had gerente, MNGR, and manager, which are always that I figured to say manager, and they were all converted to the expected value. And similar to United States, you can see that everything is converted to what we were looking for. You can see that it was just created just now. And so, yeah, that is basically the functionality on the upload wizard. And yeah, I'm happy to answer questions now.
All right. Thank you, Adrian. That was excellent. So we'll now move to the Q&A portion. And I'm looking at my list of questions, and I do see that we have a couple. So the first one is, can the upload wizard improve how duplicate email addresses are handled?
Yes, absolutely. So it will depend on customer by customer what the need is, but normally what we've seen is that if there are two records with the same email, the uploader will create the first one and ignore the rest and mark them in the rejected records as duplicate emails. Another way that we've seen it is that both records get marked as duplicate, and so the user will have to check which ones are duplicate and go in and fix or merge the records how they see better.
Great. I think that answers the question. And then the next question is, can we control which users can access the upload wizard?
Yes, absolutely. So there is a setting in the user in Eloqua users that we have to set up in order for any user to be able to access the upload wizard. Otherwise, they will only see a screen that says you're not authorized to use it.
Great. Thank you. That looks like we're at the end of the questions. I'll just pause here for a second. Oh, it looks like we have one more question. So this is a question from Carl. Carl, it looks like you are looking on the Oracle Cloud Marketplace for the Upload Wizard. You are going to find the Upload Wizard for our GDPR or for Comply app. That is there. The Upload Wizard that we're showing here is our custom built version, which is built basically for or configured for each customer to your specific needs. So that's why you don't see something exactly like that.